Hi, my name is Al Menenzo. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of APTV. Today I got Ted Tolfree from Crisp Salads, just Crisp.
Crisp.
Just Crisp, we're not going salads?
No.
You ever consider it? Okay. Ted has started business in 2012 with Crisp selling salads. Now has 5 stores all throughout the CBD. Ted's going to talk to us what it's like to quit a cushy job at KPMG and start his own business selling salads, and the journey, the lessons, and the experience he's had. You've won endless awards, from the BRW, the Telstra Awards, City of Melbourne Awards, or you should be getting City of Melbourne Awards, and endless recognition. You've only improved in excellence, and it's good to hear from a small business owner what it's like to actually start a small business and run a small business in the CBD. So thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
In 2012, you worked at KPMG, Middle Management Consultancy. I met you back then. I'm responsible for your first shop. I'm actually probably responsible for all your success now, giving you that leg up as a leasing agent. What gave you the desire and the courage to quit your job and put it on the line to open a salad shop?
I think for us it was a bit of push and pull.
Yeah.
The pull came from returning from New York and returning to our jobs on Collins Street. And when we would go out for lunch, we couldn't find what we wanted to eat. So we were used to a different way of eating in New York, where the customer's in control. They've got control over the menu, the choice of their ingredients. And we came back and we saw a big gap in the market for a healthy, customizable salad. So we started looking into that as a possible idea. And then you kind of got the push from, well, as much as the career was working out and I was enjoying it, that feeling of, am I really wanting to do this for the next 30 years? And that kind of push and pull came together to just give us that extra little bit of nudge and get the ball rolling.
And your wife joined you, or she stayed in her job?
She stayed in her job.
Right, so you didn't completely back yourself.
I totally did back myself.
How long did it take from the idea until you actually opened your first shop?
I was pretty quick, actually. I remember the time we were on holiday in Bali, and we
Did you get around, huh?
Yeah, we put a request for tender out for a consultant chef to design the menu. And when it came back, and we were really excited with the proposal that we received from one of these chefs, and it was at that moment that we knew it was going to happen. And I think from that point, that was our commitment to making it happen, and to opening the doors. That took about 6 months.
6 months, wow. Do you have no hospitality cooking experience? Or
No.
Are you not a chef or anything like this?
No hospitality experience, no small business experience. And if you told me 12 years ago that I'd be talking to somebody about my salad business or my small business, I'd say they're absolutely crazy. Like, there was no expectation that was the path I was going to take, but I think that's actually what's proved successful for us. The fact that I'm not a chef, we saw it from the customer side, not the supplier side. So we were the customer in our suits, looking for something that we wanted to eat. And I think that focus on the customer, not just knowing your customer, not just talking to your customer, not just trying to understand your customer, actually being your customer, has led us to design the business that we wanted to eat at. And even today, 10 years later, you'll see me join the back of the line in service, go through that whole process, order, pay, right through from how the shop feels and looks, the cleanliness, the speed of service. It kind of surprises the team. You know, they look at me like I'm a little bit crazy when I'm doing it, but it will give you the best insight if you actually walk through the customer process yourself.
Yeah, and what's your biggest learning through that customer experience that you keep doing?
I think the customer has to be at the forefront of everything that you do. From the way we design the menu, to the way we offer online ordering, to the way the customer moves through the shop, everything is about the customer, to give that customer the experience that they want. Our demographic in terms of customer base is largely corporate. They're short on time, they want something that's tasty, they want something that's consistent. So all of our staff training, all of our systems, all of our processes is aimed at delivering an excellent customer experience.
And has a customer demographic or expectations changed in the last 12 years?
I believe so. I mean, we've seen it when we first launched that we wanted to go with premium. We were one of the first to launch free-range chicken on the menu, free-range eggs. But we're seeing that continue now in terms of just the quality of produce, so the quality of ingredients, the freshness of ingredients. I think you get one chance at this. Your customer base will probably walk from about a 200 to 300 meter radius to get to you. If they have one bad experience, they're unlikely to come back. So everything has to be about ensuring that every single customer has the best experience in order for them to return. So for us, that means daily deliveries, 5 days a week. Lettuce comes in every single day. Chicken is coming in every single day. We make sure that we put our best foot forward so that every customer has a great experience.
How much money did you invest when you started this business?
So the first shop that we opened was at Goldsborough Lane on the corner of William and Burke. The shop cost us about $300,000 to open. And this was about 10 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
And so that was about $250 of actual fit out costs and about $50,000 of other expenditure. And that, for us, that meant using our life savings. So instead of putting a deposit down on a house, we used $100,000 that we'd saved. We leveraged that against some cash flow lending from the bank, and then we took out a chattel mortgage on some of the equipment.
Jeez.
But it was in the early stages everything that we had. And I think when you feel that burn, when you feel that pressure, you know that it just has to work.
What's the first day of opening after putting your neck out like that?
I mean, absolutely terrifying. It is, a crazy experience. I remember we were using a consultant chef in the early days to help us out manage the service and the process. And I asked him, just before we opened the doors, like, what are we going to do? And he said, just strap yourself in and ride this roller coaster. And that's exactly what it's like. You're going from from nothing to something, something that you've never done before. And we opened those doors and we had a line out of the door and down the lane on that first day. And that shop's never not had a line coming out of the door.
When did you overcome that terrified fear?
I don't think you've ever overcome
You
the
still have
terrified
it now?
fear. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. It's every small business owner's worst nightmare that one day, revenue goes to zero. I mean, that's something that we experienced in COVID. It actually came true. But on any given day, unless you're feeling that burn, unless your heart rate's up and you're feeling, what's it going to be like today? What's the revenue going to be like? I think, if you haven't got that in your heart, then you're going to lose your edge and then you're going to lose your attention to detail. So as much as it's a challenge and your heart's still in your mouth on any given day, it's a pretty exciting way to
And
live.
you work every single day, or do you have to be there now?
In the early days, I was hands-on every single day, and I think that's a challenge when you first start. You're sort of hands-on, apron, getting your hands dirty, and then you need to sort of come up and work on your business as well as in your business. Over the last few years, I've been able to pull away. We've got an excellent management team and an excellent team overall. I'm now in a position where I can not be in any shop and they run to a very high standard. And we're really pleased that we've got to that. So my work now is usually 2 to 3 days a week in the CBD, working with the management team, working on the menu development, working on the business development, but not as hands-on as I was previously.
Good. And 2012, your shop cost $300,000. 2023, how much would a shop cost you to build?
Oh, I think it would be a lot more than that, probably just shy of double that, I'd say. To
Really?
open up. Yeah.
A basic shop with no exhaust, no major kitchen.
I wouldn't call it basic, but it's...
But to be building a salad shop will cost you $600,000.
Yeah, we haven't done a new fit out in the last couple of years, but from what I'm hearing, in terms of construction costs, the investment that's required to get to the high quality fit out that we would expect, I don't think you'd be getting much change out of $500,000 to set up a shop now.
So 2012, you opened up, you put everything you have and you borrowed the rest. What point did it become profitable?
I think it took us about 12 months before it was profitable. The challenge that we experienced is that we were growing so quickly, we actually signed a lease on our second shop within 9 months. So as one shop sort of making a profit and starting to pay back, you've actually got an investment amount that's coming out for the second shop. So as much as we were profitable on one shop, we were actually using that profit to drive further growth with the other ones. For us, it was surprising that it took that long, even though we'd come from a background of financial management and knew our numbers. I remember the time at the end of the very first week of opening at Goldsborough Lane, my wife and I went for a drink in the pub, and we'd had exceeded any budget for our opening week, and we thought, this is amazing. And we took all the invoices that we collected from our suppliers and we just did a back of the envelope calculation. And we realized that our cost of goods were sky high and the cost of wage was much more than we ever thought it was going to be. And all of these other costs were involved. So even though our top line was really good and we had the lines coming out, we pretty much made no money in that first week. And so it took a long time to iron out some of those efficiencies, to bring up some of the scale, to drive some of the unit pricing down. But it was certainly a surprise as to how long it takes to become a profitable business.
So in your 12 years of owning your own business, what's the biggest mistakes you've made along the way?
There's been a few. There's been some big ones. I think for me, looking back, we grew incredibly fast in the early years. I think we moved to 5 shops within about 4 years in the early days. And the speed of that growth required a lot of capital. And where we access that capital from really determines some of the profitability of those shops. So
cost of capital.
Cost of capital, but also structure of capital and repayment terms.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to grow incredibly fast, but the bank was saying, well, slow down. We haven't even got a full year's worth of data here. It's going well, but slow down.
Amazing.
But we'd already signed a lease for the next shop. So then you're starting to backfill from perhaps tier 1 lending into tier 2 or tier 3, even asking family and friends because you've already made the decision to grow and you needed to sort of backfill that. And so I think one of the learnings would be to have an idea of the scale that you're going to go into first and make sure you've got that facility in place before you start, because otherwise you'll be trying to catch your tail in terms of the appropriate finance. But we've also made some other big mistakes. We've tried things, we've had many products that haven't worked, we've had business development ideas that haven't gone anywhere. We've made some bad calls in terms of locations. So it's been a successful story over 10 years, but it hasn't been without its challenges as well.
So when looking at a store, you have 5 stores now, 12 years in. When looking at your store, what are your top priorities when considering a location?
I think the top priority is what we look for is that footfall, that office, the proximity to the large offices nearby, particularly an anchor tenant within that office. It works really well for us when we have repeat customers from the same company and we can engage within that company and we can see what's happening to that company. We look for a strong footfall. We're a Monday to Friday business. We're only open from 9 a.m. till 3 p.m. So the trading hours are quite condensed.
And no public holidays?
No. So what we need to do is get that maximum footfall and that pull. We also look for the quality of the other retailers. I think this is a misconception that we're in competition with each other. We actually complement each other really well. Like, we will not sell salad to the same person 5 days a week, but if we're drawing in from that same crowd, then we can tap into the quality of the other retailers as well.
Do you talk to customers before you open a store, like talk to people in the buildings and ask them if they would buy salads?
Absolutely. I mean, for this one here, I've sat here many a times watching how people move through it, watching the lines, what time they start, what time they finish. We'll talk to people that we know who work in state government, who work at ANZ. It's a massive feature to walk through and understand the movements of the people around here. And it's quite surprising what you can learn from that. I mean, one of our locations, we've got, it's incredibly busy until 1 o'clock and it just drops off at 1 o'clock. And I wish I'd spent more time at that one, sort of learning about that pattern. But it's interesting, it's not just the same everywhere you go. And for us, really, it's about that intensity of the number of customers between 12 and 2 every day.
So you're 4 CBD and 1 Docklands?
Yeah.
So
the Docklands one's at the end of Collins Street, so it's still pretty much CBD.
Right, and so you have 5 CBD stores. Yeah. Would this model ever work outside of the CBD?
We did try it, so we moved as far as South Melbourne onto Clarendon Street, and it went okay, but it didn't have that intensity of office workers that we need. We're quite a heavy labour-intensive process. Every salad is made fresh to order. That means somebody is choosing those ingredients, mixing it, putting it into a bowl at that point of order. And so that labour model works with the intensity of a large number of people in a short period of time. So we employ a high number of casuals who can come in, run that service shift, and then leave. And so we don't operate well when those trading hours are extended and we have a more steady demand throughout the day. We really look for that intensity of demand.
So you're like 11 to 2?
Yeah.
So literally 3 hours.
Yeah. I mean, we'll open the doors at 9 o'clock, but we call it like there's service. Service starts at midday and service finishes at 2 p.m. We do 90% of our revenue in a 90-minute window. So you have to be on at midday because there is no way you can catch up if your prep's not done, if you're not ready, if the shop isn't clean. Midday on any given day, there is no turning back. It's on.
So if you can meet Ted Tolfree right now in 2011, what advice would you tell him?
I'd say I'd prepare him for the journey ahead, just tell him that it's a lot harder than perhaps he thinks it's going to be. There's going to be a lot of challenges along that path and to know that you will get through them, but there's some dark days within that journey, but also some fantastic days. I look back at the corporate career and I really enjoyed it, but there was still that vibe on a Sunday night when you're ironing your shirt ready for Monday and you got that kind of Monday feeling, where even 10 years later, I still get that Sunday feeling thinking, all right, we're back open tomorrow. What are we going to try this week? What are we going to improve? What are we going to do differently? What's the weather going to be like? How's this new shop going to be doing? And it's truly exciting. You feel the highs so much higher when you've got your own business. I mean, sure, you feel the lows as well, but it genuinely is exciting.
So 10 years trading, 5 stores. What's next? What's the next 5 years look like?
Look, I think we've opened 2 stores since the end of COVID. We are looking for a period of stability just to sort of weather that sort of transition back to more people coming back into the office. So I think there's a little bit of time just to sort of gather a bit more strength. We also are looking at refreshing a number of the stores. So what we saw with COVID was a long period of shops being vacant and then a delay sort of period to the lease. So a number of them need that refresh and that upgrade. And then I think we will be ready to go again and start expanding. I've got this vision. At the moment, the 5 stores run east to west through the CBD.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is move a bit further north and a bit further south. I'd love to be able to tell our customers that whenever they're in the CBD, they wouldn't be more than 200 or 300 meters away from a crisp, and you can actually map it out so that you take the thinking out of somebody choosing where they're going to go for lunch because they know wherever they are within the main CBD grid, they could be that close to a crisp.
And south is what? South Bank?
South to South Bank, yeah.
And north is with the hospital precinct?
Not as far north, I think. More sort of within the central sort of CBD, but yeah, sort of north, Lonsdale and north, that sort of area could be exciting for us.